Now to developments in the Middle East as the U.S. standoff with Iran in the Strait of Hormuz continues. Kuwait says it arrested 4 people affiliated with Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps who attempted to enter the country by sea. Iran has condemned Kuwait's actions, claiming the 4 people arrested yesterday were maritime workers whose navigation systems malfunctioned. For more on all of this, we're joined by Mohammed Sergie. He's the editor of Semafor Gulf and can give us some insight into all the different interests in the region. Mohammed, good morning. What we've just mentioned comes after the Wall Street Journal reports the UAE secretly launched attacks on Iran. How delicate a calculation is it for them?
Yeah, good morning, Errol. So the report in the Wall Street Journal, and it was confirmed as well by Bloomberg, and then Reuters reported that Saudi Arabia has also engaged in strikes. It really kind of confirms what President Donald Trump said back in March, when he referred to the Saudi crown prince as a warrior, and that Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar are all excellent. I believe he used the term in terms of their involvement in the war. The types of strikes that they've engaged in, allegedly, at least reportedly, were to reassert some sort of deterrence with Iran, to show that they will not just accept, thousands of missiles and drones, but that they actually have the force, and they have a far more modern and well-equipped air force and other military equipment to engage with Iran. So it is a delicate balance, as you said, and it seems to be something kind of like the shadow war within the war.
And in addition to that, the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, they've all increased a reliance on tourism and international investment to diversify their economies away from oil. How much of that is now under threat for these Gulf states because of the war?
Under incredible strain. Just earlier, you said the U.S. Is spending $25 billion, maybe $29 billion as a cost of the war. But the actual brunt, the cost that on the economies on the Gulf states have been far more severe. There's at least maybe 100 million barrels of oil a week that is not going through the Strait of Hormuz. Add to that natural gas and other things like that. So they're not bringing in income from there. Tourism is down significantly across the board. So all these assets that they've built that they need to monetize on a routine basis are no longer bringing in money. So they're hit on multiple fronts. The ceasefire is good for them. At least they're not being struck. But the stalemate and this cost of choking off the Strait of Hormuz, they end up paying for it in the long run.
And speaking with our colleague Major Garrett on 60 Minutes this past weekend, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu suggested some countries in the region want closer ties with Israel. Let's just play a clip of that.
And hearing the fact from Arab countries, which I won't get into.
All of them?
No. But some of them, and I never heard that before, let's strengthen our alliance with Israel, because that, in fact, deters.
Does that match what your sources are telling you? Is this conflict pushing Gulf states to seek stronger ties with Israel?
Exactly. As the Prime Minister said, not all of them. There is still a very large rift between many Gulf countries. I would say Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Kuwait specifically see the Palestinian question has to be resolved before they can move in that direction. On the other hand, all of them recognize that Israel has certain military skills and technological skills in cybersecurity and other places that could be useful for them, and air defenses as well. So it's a very difficult and delicate dynamic that they have to pursue with their own population and that kind of sentiment against Israel on the one hand, but the other one is if you're going to choose a camp, is it going to be U.S. Israel versus Iran? They will make the choice that protects them and their sovereignty.
Yes, so many interesting aspects for nations there in the Gulf region. Mohammed Sergie, thank you so much for being with us today.